to a school working with young people, we focused on hair, and she talked about the history of hair and how it was designed, especially when we had braids of for the purpose of passage. So the two of them are all about empowerment. And Tamika is particular, she is a caregiver. And what is very interesting about her is that she has taken what she does as a practice and connected that to what she does in terms of caring for her mom. So, without taking up any more time, she wanted to start off with us just doing a check of ourselves. And then from there, I will ask her a question that will open it up to who she is and the work that she's doing.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Nadia. Thank you for having me here, first off. April, we miss you. um, and I do want to thank everyone on this call, in particular the caregivers that took out their busy time in order to be here and just be present with us. You're appreciated. Okay. What I like to do is open up with a like breathing technique. Okay. This is basically going to allow all of us to just release all of the tension from the day and to just pour a little bit of love into ourselves before we begin, because you all will be doing a lot of listening and I will be doing a lot of talking. And so we want to balance that energy out. Okay. So, what I am going to ask is that everyone place their feet flat on the floor. Don't cross your feet, just leave them flat. Okay. And you can place your hands anywhere that's comfortable. I like to place my hands on my lap with my palms facing up. And that just means that you're receiving the energy. Okay. We'll sit up nice and tall. You can close your eyes if you like to. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Okay. And I'm going to count with you. All right. So on your first breath, we're going to take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And just take a moment to thank yourself for being here, thanking yourself for making the time to be present, and making the time to come here so that you can listen to the resources and the techniques and tips and even just sharing stories with each other in community. Okay. All
Well,
right, Nadia.
thank you so much for that grounding. And I want all of us to just take that in. Sometimes we need to be reminded that the breath work, just the inhale and the exhale, can help with detoxifying, especially when you are in situations with the person that you love or folks who are supposed to be caring for them, whether it's inside of a hospital, at home with an aide. You are tried and tested. And sometimes the best thing we can do is pause and take a breath. And sometimes when you're in the midst of it all and you take that breath, people will think you're going crazy, but it's like I'm trying to save you while I'm trying to save myself. So thank you so much for that grounding. I appreciate that, as I know many on this call do as well. So we're going to start off with a question around telling us, who was Tamika before caregiving,
Mhm.
and who did you have to become as a
Mm.
result of the caregiving?
That's a great question. I love that.
Hmm.
So, who was Tamika before caregiving? Tamika was a entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for about 13, 14 years. And in that entrepreneurship, I ran two businesses. One business was called Fruji, which is a eco-friendly arts and craft company for children. And I had programs, arts and craft programs in the schools. And so I was a what they call a creative wellness educator. And so my second business was called Wellness for Care, actually, Sacred Color Healing. That was my second business. And that business was more so of a wellness business. I was getting ready to say Wellness for Caregivers because that's my third business that I created with this experience of caregiving, which I will get into a little later. Um, but my wellness company and my children's company, those were my two babies. I opened up a art studio in Brooklyn. I also had two wellness studios, one in downtown Brooklyn and one in Park Slope. And my businesses were thriving. I was uh, I was in a place in my life where I was content with where I was spiritually, but also physically healthy and just loving my life, like just content with my life. And so when my mother became sick, this was about 8 years ago, it was really sudden. And so one day she went to the hospital, and the next week, she literally had to have 24-hour care. And so my mom, who is probably on here somewhere, hey, mom. So she developed what we call multiple myeloma cancer. And so that affects your bones, it affects your blood, and it makes your bones really brittle. So you fracture easily. And so we found out that mom had three compression fractures in her spine, as well as a compression fracture in her sternum. And so that obviously caused her a lot of pain. And so when we went to the hospital, the doctors literally just said, hey, your mom is feeling a bit better. And and let us go. And when I got home, I didn't realize that my mom needed help getting into the bed, getting out of the bed, brushing her teeth, going to the bathroom, sitting up, eating, showering. I mean, all of the what they call like ADLs, like all the everyday daily living activities that everyone pretty much does. She needed help with for 24 hours. And so again, I'm still in my entrepreneurship phase and I'm running businesses. And, I had a meeting the next day and I didn't realize that this was basically the start of my caregiving journey with my mom. And a week passed and I was with mom for 24 hours helping her, and my sister was there, my brother was also there, so they were able to help out a little bit. And so when you fast forward a little bit and I think about where I am now and how my life has transitioned, I feel like there's a reason for everything, but also there is a tight knit connection with what I'm going through now and like where I'm supposed to be in my life right now and what my purpose is right now. Because I feel like we have multiple purposes, one main purpose, but for the most part, we have different purposes and different shifts and times in our life. And so, eventually, unfortunately, I had to put a hold on my businesses in order to become a full-time caregiver. And so when you fast forward to today, I am flowing back into that entrepreneurship um, flow of life, and I've learned the balancing techniques that are needed in order to run a business and then also be a caregiver, but also practice self-care for yourself, because you know if you're not okay, you can't run a business and you can't take care of someone else. So you come first at the end of the day. And so yeah, it's been a journey. There's so much information in between that timeline. But for now, I've learned the different techniques that has helped me through becoming a better caregiver, becoming a better entrepreneur, business owner. And it's actually led me to creating another company called Wellness for Caregivers, which is self-explanatory, just teaching caregivers how to take care of themselves and offering a lot of support, whether it's resources or handling administrative work or even finding respite care or any type of home care agency that I may have used that I can recommend in New York in particular. And so, I'm here working with caregivers now, and I didn't see that coming, but this is where I'm supposed to be right now in my life.
So, hi, Mom. We want to honor and thank you for being on the call. And I know there are many folks who are probably in the space with the person that they're caregiving because that's just the nature of what we have to do. And I want to ask you, Tamika, because oftentimes it is hard to find the balance. There are folks who are on this call or maybe watching this afterwards who literally have had to give up their jobs or contemplating giving up their work because the demand is just too great, right? Like between what is needed to support your family member, and oftentimes with the way insurances are working and funding being cut all the time for the type of care that's needed for the sustainability of our parents or, children as well as spouses who may be in need of care. Folks have had to make the difficult decision of being home because you can't afford to have an additional person helping. How are you able to marry the two? And we're going to get into the aspect of caring, but I'm just very interested in that because I myself had to jump into entrepreneurship. I've done it before, but I found that trying to be a sweet C-suite executive, being at the hospital every single day with my dad during the time that he had brain surgery, then the 8 weeks that he was at rehab, and the multiple times that this happened, I was literally in there with him on calls. I had you looking at the nurses and the doctors like, I'm on a call. Can you like quiet down? Folks are trying to figure out how to find that balance, and having to step away is not an easy decision. But how were you able to marry the two? And for that person who's feeling a little discouraged or questioning what they should do next, what would you tell them?
Of course. Well, I'll start off with what my journey was like when I stopped actually working. So when I closed my studio spaces and I wasn't taking clients anymore. I wasn't going into the schools as often. And I'm a very creative person. So that's what keeps me going. That's what like brings me joy. And so when I stopped doing that, I noticed that I didn't feel like myself. And I started thinking of like different ways where I can do something part-time, right? Still take care of mom, but do something part-time that will continuously bring me some type of like creative joy. And so what I did was I taught part-time. So when my sister was with mom, or whether we paid for a caregiver, or we worked with a home care agency in order to have an aide come in and stay for a couple of hours, because mom did have long-term care. And so during that time, we were able to get some, form of like hours. It's never enough, right? But we got something, and we were grateful for that. So I used those hours in order to go and teach paint and sips and teach people how to paint. And when I tell you that, and I think about like those moments where I was back in the field, a little bit nervous because I haven't been teaching for a little while, but then it just started becoming more natural, as it always was. And I went home one day and I said, okay, this is what I'm going to continue doing. to keep me sane, right? This is what I'm going to keep doing to keep my nervous system regulated. And it worked. And I did that for about maybe 3 years or so. But I did it part time. And again, you're working part time. So the part time funds are not enough to pay enough bills. And so eventually I had to move back with my mom so that I can take care of her and help her with her household because it was too much for me to deal with my own household and pay those bills and then have to go to her house and then help with that. So I decided, okay, it's time. And I'm going to go back to mom's so that I can be closer to her and it'll be easier for me to navigate the caregiving in the home. And so, what I would say to caregivers and what I learned in merging the two together as far as balancing, and whether you're a 9 to 5 person or you have a career or you're an entrepreneur, you're working, right? So whether you're working or not, and then you have caregiving duties, when you merge them together, you have to figure out what works for you, right? And I would start off with writing a list down. Create a list of the things that you need help with, right? And this is what you need help with in terms of caregiving, because it's the support that I feel like caregivers need the most of. In order for them to go out to the store, they need someone to stay with their loved one. In order for them to work, they need someone to stay with their loved one. So it's always support in the form of like respite care or having an additional person to care for your loved one. So that can be number one, right? On your list should also be what are the things that brings you joy, right? What brings you joy and will keep you sane during this caregiving journey? Because it's not going to go away anytime soon, and you have to accept that, right? You have to accept the lifestyle that you're currently in, and that tends to be hard, but it's necessary in order for you to move on and understand this journey. Okay. A few other things I would say is practicing self care. And when I say self care, some folks think that it's just, or when I say like wellness or self care, or, they think it's just meditation or yoga, right? Support is self care. Getting respite care for your loved one is self care because it's helping you to navigate all of the tasks that you have on that list, that continuous list. And so it's important for you to create that list in order for you to merge all of those things together and understand like where you are right now in your current journey. I would also say take advantage of the social workers. I didn't realize that the social workers have a lot of responsibility when it comes to dealing with the patients. And one of the responsibilities that they do have is helping you to look for respite care, helping you to figure out, long-term care and also Medicaid, like navigating the Medicaid and the Medicare system. They can help with that. And, when I figured that out and I actually reached out to one, man, it was a game changer. I realized that I needed more than just an aide coming in and helping with mom, because after that, all of the administrative tasks, they're still there, right? You still need help with figuring out the will, making sure that all of the like the power of attorney is in place and the healthcare proxy is in place, right? You also have to figure out medication lists and speaking and communicating with your loved one's doctors in order to make sure that they're putting in the refills and you have to go and pick them up. So there's a plethora of things that you have to do and a list of tasks that you have to do for your loved one. It is inevitable. It will always be there until things get a little bit better, right? So it's the acceptance piece that I'm here right now. I accept where I am. What am I going to do in order for me to feel fulfilled, but also for my loved one to feel comfortable? And I think that's the two things that you can actually start with. Did we lose Nadia?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay.
I appreciate you sharing that. A couple of things that stood out that I just want to let folks know. So, if you're not familiar with your parent or your loved one having a social worker, you should find out from the primary care doctor if they have a social worker on board. They normally do. So the social worker can actually help you with preparing you for those visits when they come from the state to let your to evaluate your family member, to tell you what to say and what not to say, because oftentimes when it comes down to care, you know, the ones that you love who want to seem like they still have it, like I don't want people knowing that I can't do certain things anymore. That's how they determine the hours. And it's all about they do everything on a numbering system. So you say, can you prepare your meals? Can you can you cook? Can you, you know, go to the bathroom by yourself? Can you, you know, when you go to the bathroom, do you need someone to assist you? Knowing you have to really talk your family member through, because if you're not the healthcare proxy or the power of attorney, they're going to defer to them. If you're the healthcare proxy and the power of attorney, you can answer on behalf of that person. But the minute you say, or that person says, no, I'm able to cook and clean, I'm able to bathe myself, and I'm able to shower, they will give you the least amount of hours, even though if you let my dad say it, he was like, "No, I can do everything." He cannot cook. He cannot stand more than 2 minutes. He cannot put the bathroom, the shower caddy in the bathroom. He can't do any of those things. So being mindful of that is important. And if you have long-term care for your family member and you want to go away or you need a break, you are entitled to respite care. And what that means is that they can actually put your family member into a living assistance space for the 2 weeks if you need to go away, because the idea is they want to ensure that your family member has the continuous care, because for insurance purposes, if something happens to them, that's a liability. So just these are some things that no one ever tells us, but somewhere along the line we get this information and it's important for us to share. Um, if you all have any questions, I want to encourage you to put them in the chat. I'm looking at the chat and I will be more than happy to ask them as we are going through this conversation. But Tamika, one of the questions that I have, and I would love folks to put it in the chat, just this response. If you felt any type of guilt, if you have felt any type of guilt in this journey of, there are times that put, you want to take time off and you feel like I can't, right? Because you have taken on the persona of the superpower person, the one who can carry it all. There are times that you have to make that decision about, is this the best thing for me to do? We're taking on the responsibility of loving our families, but there are people now who are deciding, you know what, at the end of the day, I need to put my family member into a space that's going to provide them with 24-hour care. Just put in the chat that you feel the guilt, right? Just put in the chat that you feel the guilt. And I would like to ask you, Tamika, to share for those folks, like, how do you move past the guilt for you to take care of yourself? For you to set
Mm.
aside the time without feeling like somehow by you wanting to be selfish, right? Which is actually an act of self-preservation. How do we help those who are feeling that every single day, but needing to take time for themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I go back to those days of feeling guilt. And it's hard to get past that guilt. It takes sometimes years to get past the guilt. And I remember in the beginning, I would say a few months of just caring for my mom when she needed the 24-hour care and just navigating the system. And again, not having a blueprint. I had no idea what I was doing, what was going on. But when it came to wellness, I was a wellness practitioner. So I knew, hey, Meditation works, yoga works, holistic care works, essential oils, singing bowls, sound therapy. Like I knew those particular things that would be helpful. And I actually introduced my mom to those things in order to help her go through her process, right? Because not only are you caring for yourself, but you're caring for your loved ones' emotional needs and spiritual needs. And so while you're taking care of yourself and those needs, you also take care of theirs. And so when I thought about the guilt, I remember one day um, I was in the bathroom. So the bathroom used to be my place to cry and let it out because I didn't want to do it in front of my mother. And so I would go to the bathroom and I would just release and let it all out. And one day I remember being in the bathroom and just, in tears. And when I finished, I took a deep breath and then I asked myself, what do you need? Like, well, what is it that you need? You're emotional right now because you're watching your mother deteriorate, and it's hurtful to see that. But on top of that, like you're deteriorating too because you're not taking care of yourself. And so I asked myself, what do I need? And I needed help. I needed help physically to take care of mom. I needed help administratively in order to take care of all this paperwork, right? I needed all these things. And so when I thought about going back to work, that's where the guilt began because I said, okay, if I leave mom with an aide for this amount of hours, what if they don't get along? What if she doesn't like them? What if while I'm away, something happens and I'm so far, all the way an hour away and I can't come back, right? So all these thoughts are going through my head, like what if, what if, what if? And then I related that to fear. It's fear. I'm fearful of leaving mom because no one is going to take care of mom the way I do, right? No one is going to serve her food the way that she wanted to. And I had to release control, right? And I think a part of the guilt is that control because we want to control every single thing, and we're guilty when we're not doing it because we're the best at what we do. And so I think one of the things is releasing that control and also releasing the fear because it can control you. It can control every aspect of your thinking process, your decision making. It can control, you physically, where you go, if you leave the home or not, if you leave your loved one with someone else. And so I would also say the fear aspect of it. The fear aspect is understanding that if you are not taking care of yourself and you're not well, then you cannot be here to take care of your loved one, right? So then you put yourself first and you understand that I come first because I am the one that's caring for my loved one. And so I have to pour into me the joy, the fulfillment, the energy, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Like all of that has to be poured into you first in order for you to have the strength and the capacity in order to take care of someone else, right? So when you're thinking about those guilty moments, think about that, right? You don't want to end up in the hospital because if you're in the hospital, who's going to take care of mom or dad or your husband or your children? You may not have someone to take care of them, and so you're going to feel even more guilty because you didn't put yourself first and you didn't understand the dynamic and the importance of actually prioritizing self-care. So I would say those two things, control and fear, and releasing those two.
As I'm reading the comments, I want to say thank you to Dawn, Lisa, and Sam for sharing where they spend their time. And if you want to, just share where do you have that moment for yourself? So for me, it used to be in the bathroom, in the shower, right? Like I would turn it on, but my dad don't care. So he'll knock on the door and be like, "Are you done?" And I'm, trying to get my bearings. So I tend to have to go just stay in the car. And the car is just my sanctuary. And I'll play my music and I'll sit and I'll pray if need be, because it's been like that for years, even when I was a principal, but even more so now, because it's the space that I can just be a separate and apart. from the home, but still close enough that, still run back inside. And Deanna and Maya, I put in the chat for Maya the fact that the respite care I know is through the long-term care through Medicaid, but I will follow up and ask some folks who are in that world to find out what may be some alternatives, right? And I know that a lot of times when your family member is not when your family member is ineligible, it could be because of their income or whatever the case may be, of how they set things up. So one of the things I want to say for ourselves, the ones who are caring for the family member, we're going to try our very best to get someone on the call who, um, one of our uh, collective care members who has been doing this, who has gone through the process, but I also know of an attorney who handles trust and wills, because there are a lot of things that we need to start preparing at this age so that this way, when it becomes our time, we're not taxed, right? If you have the pension, if you have those 401ks, if you have property, if you have savings, we think we're doing our best. We want to amass these things for generational wealth, leaving stuff for our families. And at the end of the day, they see these things as assets that makes us ineligible for Medicaid, right? And the full benefits of all the things that come with Medicare. So there are certain ways that folks know how to move money and put it in their trust as opposed to it being open and available. And when you get to a certain age, and if you need Medicaid, right, for God forbid, because it does not matter, we don't have to be in our 70s and 80s for that to happen. Literally, what will occur is they now have this rule that you have to wait 5 years. Even if you move it, they make you wait 5 years before you are eligible for any type of additional support from the government. So just keep that in mind. Someone did ask though, they have been caring for their parent along with their significant other, their husband. And so, the children start to feel like they're losing their parent when they're caring for someone else, right? So, how do you make the time, or how would you suggest one can make the time to be there for your children while, because that's the sandwich generation,
Yeah.
be there for your children while you're also caring for this aging parent. And I don't hear what anyone says. They say twice a child, once a man. But honestly, children, we look forward to them becoming independent, right? By the time they become 4 and 5, there's little things they can do, 7 and 8. They are more independent. When it comes to our parents, the decline, there is no independence. There's everything dependent on us. So, how can someone manage that?
Yeah.
Your suggestion.
So what I would suggest, and I have a lot of clients who have this, I wouldn't call it an issue, I would call it a situation. And what I would say is one, include your children in the different activities that you're doing with your loved one. So if you have younger children, make it a fun game. Hey, we're going to put out, grandma's food or grandpa's food right now, and include them in that type of like activity. We're going to go for a walk. Include them in the activity. And I know sometimes it can be a bit much depending on the age of your child. And you can see what activity is suitable for that particular age. But one, I would say include them. The second thing is, I would say find assistance with help, and that's respite care. That's reaching out to long-term care to get aides to come into the home, maybe for 8 hours in the day, or 4 or 5 hours in the day. And I know that tends to be tough to do, because if you are you're working full time, and by the time you get home, the aide is gone, or that's the end of the hours that you were allocated. I know that tends to be tough. So again, if you're in that situation, either one, whether you're staying home full time or whether you are taking care of your loved one part time, it's either find the respite care, find the support with other aides coming in and helping. It can be you paying out of pocket, or it can also be paying an agency through Medicaid to do that. And that's a whole nother that's a whole nother conversation to have when it comes to Medicaid and the hours and what to say, what not to say. It's another conversation. But I would say those two things: include them, but also find the support. Even with family members as well, I would say that too. Include family members, right? Reach out to family members and friends to give you that hour or 2 hours with your child. You know, hey, can you come over for about an hour or two and help out with such and such? And you spend those 1 or 2 hours with your child, doing whatever activities. But it's hard to find time, but we have to prioritize it.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm smiling as I look at some people's responses again. Sky talking about she takes the Staten Island ferry for that just time for herself. Karen, her in her car, take hip hop steps of cardio in her mind. And then Jocelyn speaking about the bathroom, although the interruptions come. And I just want to recognize the comment that Lisa made, the fact that she's caring for her mom and that no one else is really stepping up to the plate, even though there's a significant other. And then she's also currently in the hospital with her own daughter. And so I know there's a lot that you all are carrying. And then, there are those of us who are caring for the parent who wasn't even, I don't want to say, you've had the contentious moments with them. They may not have been there. They may not have been the best parent. They may not have um, loved you unconditionally, right? And here we are, the first person there for them, even though we weren't the first person that they showed up for. And they made plenty of mistakes, but in this time, you're the protector. You're the one offering all the advocacy and stepping in between and making sure that they have. And so I just want to recognize you as well, because that's a different set of demand on your soul that is taxing. And, resentment does feed into your body in a way that it is unforgiving, right? And you increase the chances of a heart attack, you increase the chances of digestive issues, all of these things. So I just want you to be mindful of that because I am speaking from personal experience. I totally understand. And so with that, Tamika, I want to ask you um, about your holistic approach to wellness. There's a significant amount of folks on here who we have neglected ourselves, not just months, but years at this point. And so sometimes it's just hard. So setting aside the care that you have to provide your family member, there's the demands of work,
Mhm.
and then there's just life that be coming at you fast and furious. So what are some of the things that you could suggest, even in our busy roles, in order to care for ourselves? And what does holistic wellness look like?
Yeah. So I like to break that down into three different categories, and that's mind, body, and then spirit. So that's a technique that I usually use with my clients whenever they need some form of like holistic guidance or wellness guidance. And so we start with the mind, right? What's going on in here? Okay. So you have your thoughts, right? You have your brain fog that we experience because we're not taking enough of our vitamins and we're not getting enough minerals and we're tired and we're stressed. And it shows up a lot in here, right? We're slurring our words, we're not speaking clearly because of fatigue. Um, what else? There's so much things happening up here, right? So what I would suggest when it comes to the mind is to quiet it down, right? So those moments that when you're in your bathroom or your car or in a quiet space in your home, whether you are finished for the day caregiving and your loved ones are sleeping, or if you just have a small moment, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, to just have some time for yourself, right? Breathing. I can't stress that enough. You have to breathe. And this is why I began the session with breath work, because if we're not receiving enough oxygen in our body, then we're not allowing the blood flow and circulation, right? And that also goes with, I'll get to that, but it also has to do with movement and allowing you to breathe and move so that your body can do its thing, right? And so, one thing is breath work. Okay, taking that moment to just do exactly what I just did in the beginning of the session, right? 4 counts breathing in, 4 counts holding, and about 6 to 8 counts with you releasing. Okay, that alone can help you with regulating your blood pressure. It can help you regulate your nervous system. It can help your brain fog, right? For you to get enough oxygen in your blood and in your brain so that you can think clearly and that you're not suffering in that sense. Okay. Also, meditation, obviously, it's, sitting in silence and not doing anything, right? Just sitting and just being. A lot of times we're unable to do that because we're doing so much and we're all over the place, right? But when you sit still and you're able to just have a moment to close your eyes and breathe and just focus on your present being, right? Try not to think about anything else. And I know that's hard when you're a caregiver, but because you're still listening to if your loved one is knocking on the door, like you said, but do your best. And it's never going to be perfect, right? But that 5 minutes might be enough just for the day. And you practice that multiple times in the day, or even start with once a day, and then you do that on a daily basis, right? Create a routine when it comes to that. Okay. Um, Also, with the mind, I would say listening to music, right? Listening to your favorite songs, listening to music that is really going to ground you and calm your nervous system. Music has helped me tremendously. I have a playlist of everything, right? I have a playlist for the morning, the afternoon, the night, and those playlists help me when I'm in specific types of moods, right? So listening to music, also sound healing and sound therapy frequencies. When it comes to sound healing, right? If depending on the frequency of the type of music that you're listening to, it is going to overstimulate your body. Okay. So when you're picking out your playlist, pick songs that you know is not going to overstimulate you. Okay. Maybe not, fast songs, maybe slow pace and, a little bit of slow beats so that you can, again, regulate your nervous system. I would also say tuning forks. For anyone that doesn't know what a tuning fork is, it's basically a frequency sound, right? Whenever you hit it on your body or hit it on like something metal, it creates a sound, and that sound actually um, regulates not only your nervous system, but it regulates the brain fog. It regulates the blood flow in your body. It regulates your breathing techniques, right? It regulates all of that. And we don't know it because, it's just something that we don't study. But once you start doing it, you'll see a difference. I promise you, you'll see a difference. But you have to be consistent with it. Okay, so that's for the mind. For the body, I would say movement. Movement. When we are caregiving, yes, we're moving around, right? But we're moving the same different parts of our body. We're not twisting, we're not helping our spine to circulate its blood, right? A lot of the times if we are tired after caregiving, we're sitting down and we're laying down. And then after that, we really don't want to do anything else, right? So movement, do it with your loved one, right? I know a lot of caregivers, they have like PT and OT that might come over to the house to work with your loved one. Choose that moment to do some movements with them, right? Or include your loved one with you in order to create some type of like movement routine. Also, doing like jumping jacks and look, I'm talking about like in the middle of the day, you're in the kitchen cooking, maybe something's on the stove, right? Touch your toes, stretch your arms up. I mean, hug yourself. I mean, there's different pockets of times that you can actually choose to move your body, but move. And I don't care what it is, just move. And this allows, again, blood circulation. And I mean, I could go over so many health reasons and reasons why, we're sick because of us not moving and because of our blood not circulating. You're talking about high blood pressure. You're talking about people having fibroids, right? You're talking about having headaches, right? You're talking about heart issues. And I mean, I'm 40, so I have folks that I know that are in their 40s that have had heart attacks, heart issues, and it's just, and they're caregivers as well. And it's, for me, that's the reason why I want to be, doing this type of work, because it shouldn't be, we shouldn't be this young having to suffer this way because we don't have the resources or the practices in order to do that. Another part of the body is eating well. Okay. Listen, I know how it is. You want comfort food. Listen, I've been there, and the comfort food helps us tremendously with just calming down and relaxing ourselves, right? But after we have those junk food and all of the foods that are not good for us, we end up paying for it. And I know firsthand what that looks like because I went through it. I spent 3 years, I'm vegan, but I spent 3 years eating a lot of vegan junk food, a lot of foods that, weren't that healthy. I wasn't eating a lot of fruits. I wasn't drinking enough water. And so I ended up developing a lot of ailments. I developed a cyst in my thyroid. I developed a hiatal hernia. I developed. I mean, I can go on and on. There's so many things that happen. I developed cysts, right? Cysts in different parts of my body, and so I started thinking to myself, I was never like this. This has never happened before. What's going on? And when I went to the doctor, and I found out that I was lacking a lot of vitamins, so I had a lot of vitamin and mineral deficiencies. But on top of that, it was creating other issues like a domino effect, right? And this is why taking your vitamins on time and taking your minerals, that actually helps with those deficiencies, which will help with those ailments. Do you see how it's like a domino effect? And that becomes the problem. It's like you have to start here in order to get here. And it's hard to even start here. So, how do you get here, right? You have to be able to prioritize. And I can't stress that enough. And yes, it's hard, but you start slow. You start with, hey, mom is taking medication at 8 o'clock. I'm going to take my medication at that time too. She's taking her next medication at 12. I'm going to schedule my time to take my medication with her. Like you work, you do things that work best for you in those moments, like during your journey. um and when we talk about like holistic healing, like for the body also, and eating, proper foods, you have to make sure that you're eating your rainbow, right? Eat, and again, it doesn't matter what type of fruits it is, just make sure that there's colors in there, right? So you're eating your fruits daily, you're drinking water. I think I might make that number one, to purchase like one of those water bottles, right? So that you can keep count of how much water you're intaking during the day. What else? I would say when it comes to comfort, when you buy chips and you eat things that are crunchy, that means that you have a lot of anger in you, right? So we're eating a lot of crunchy stuff because we're angry. You eat a lot of sweets because you're sad and you're emotional. And so what I would say for people who are emotional eaters like myself, um, when you're reaching for something sweet, get something sweet that is on a healthier level, right? Whether it's a fruit, whether it's a dried fruit, whether it's some type of all natural candy of some sort. And eventually, I can send you a list, Nadia, of a list of these things or alternatives that you can share also with the guests. Um, Anything that's crunchy. You find crackers that, don't have a lot of calories, or it doesn't have a lot of wheat. A lot of wheat or too much wheat in the body, because every food nowadays have so much wheat, that also affects you, and you end up gaining weight. You end up, um, you know, uh, just not breathing properly because your body is not moving the way that it's supposed to. So those two things I would recommend definitely for the body is exercising, movement, and also, just, eating properly. And also in the body part aspect, I would say yoga too, right? Yoga, Pilates, aerobics, I mean, Zumba, whatever feels comfortable for you or whatever you like, I would definitely add that in there. The third thing is going to be the spirit. Now, the spirit, when it comes to spirit, it doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter what your spiritual practice is, whatever, whoever or whomever that you're praying to, or whatever your spiritual or religious practices are, create a routine in that, right? Taking moments during the day to give thanks. Give thanks that I'm here. Give thanks that mom and dad are here, or your loved one, whoever you're caring for, is here. Give thanks that I have the strength to even be able to navigate this whole entire system and this whole entire caregiving journey. You pray to whatever being that resonates with you, right? But spiritual guidance and spiritual connection, especially with your loved one, is highly important. Pray with them. Pray with them so that you can build your connection much more deeper. And when I talk about, like, prayer and religion, for me, I have an altar. And on my altar, I place, pictures of my ancestors, right? And that's just, for me. I have crystals, I have Palo Santo, I have sage, I have all of the tools that I need in order to ground me. And those moments that I have, because it's rare sometimes, but those moments that I have to, like, sit at my altar and go within, that helps me also to regulate my whole entire system. And so spirituality is a big thing. Go to church. If you go to church with your loved one. Make it a routine every Sunday for the family to go to church, but keep that spiritual connection always, because if you don't, you will lose yourself. I promise you. And once you have lost yourself, everything is going to spiral. Okay, you're going to spiral, your loved one is going to spiral. And if you think about, like, the energy in the home, right? You're creating that energy in the home because you have a loved one that is sick, a loved one that is not well, and you're well, right? Or well enough to take care of them. You have to keep that energy flowing, right? You have to make sure that even the people that come into your home, that their spirit is up full, right? Because it can be that one person that comes in and it ruins the energy into the home. So be mindful of who you have visiting your loved one, visiting you in your home, or even in your loved one's home. And that all has to do with spiritual connection and just navigating the spiritual journey when it comes to caregiving as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. While I'm hearing you, I'm also looking at the chat, and I'm gonna echo what Sam said. I love how connected and together you are, Tamika. Um, these are goals, and he yearns for this. So we are at time at 7:59. I know you wanted to do a meditation activity. So if folks will be willing to please just give us 5 minutes. Um, Tamika is going to take us through meditation. And I would like us to close out on that because, you're going to go back into the reality of your world, right? And so I appreciate you giving us the hour, 5 minutes. Gift this to yourself. So, Tamika.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Nadia. And I want to thank everyone on here for being present and listening in. Like Nadia said, you could be anywhere, but you decided to come here um, and commune with all of us. So thank you so much, and I appreciate and honor your time that you spent with us today. For the meditation, I would like everyone to do the same thing. Is if you're laying down, that's fine. If you are sitting up, feet planted flat on the floor. Again, if you're laying down or sitting up, your hands can be wherever it's comfortable. I always tend to place my palms up so that I can receive the energy. Okay. All right. I would close my eyes for this, just so that you can go within. It'll help you to receive the energy. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold it and release slowly. Our body consists of multiple systems. We have multiple organs. We have multiple parts of our body that operate in different ways. And each way is so very special. So we're going to honor our body from our toes all the way up to our head. I want you to imagine a white and gold light circulating around your feet and then working its way and just wrapping itself all the way up around your ankles, around your legs, and now around your hips. As this light continues to wrap its way around your hips, it is giving thanks for all of the organs and the systems in that area. Your reproductive system and all of your organs, your bladder, your womb. We want to give thanks to all of the working organs that are there. And as this light continues to wrap its way around, healing all of those aspects of the body, we work our way up to the digestive system. Now imagine that this light is circulating around your torso area and it's healing any digestive issues that you have. It's healing your colon, it's healing your liver, your gallbladder, your pancreas, your stomach. Any ailments or uncomfortable things that you feel in those areas, this light is allowing energy to flow through. And as it moves its way up the torso, we work our way to the respiratory system. And now this beautiful, beautiful bright light is working its way in a spiral motion around your chest area, where we have our amazing heart. If you're able to, put your hands on your heart and thank your heart for every single beat and blood flow that it allows through your body. Give thanks to the lungs for allowing us to breathe. Give thanks for the lungs for bringing in oxygen into our body and into our blood. And as it continues to circulate around this area, imagine that this light is going down each arm in a spiral motions all the way to your fingertips. And we're giving thanks for our arms and our fingers and our hands for allowing us to do the physical work of caregiving. These fingers, these amazing fingers and hands, have organized medications, has signed paperwork, has lifted our loved ones, has cooked food for ourselves and our loved ones. So we must give thanks to our hands and our fingers and our arms for allowing us to do that. As this light continues, it works its way back up the arm, back up the other arm, and around our shoulders, working its way up to our throat area. And we give thanks for our throat. We give thanks to our mouth and that area because we're able to speak things into existence. We're able to use our throat center in order to advocate for our loved ones. And we give thanks for speech. We give thanks for cadence. And we honor this area of our body for the ability to speak things into motion. This light works its way up our head, around our nose, give thanks for breath, around our ears, give thanks for the ability to hear, around our eyes, give thanks for the ability to see everything that's beautiful in this world. So we give thanks for the different parts of our body that has so many different abilities. And we imagine this light continuously spiraling up around our forehead, circulating our beautiful, beautiful brain, where all of the thoughts hold space, where our pituitary is, where all of the organs that helps us to think things through and think clearly. And we give thanks for the mind. We give thanks for our thoughts. And we release anything in our body from head to toe that does not serve us. Any health issues, we do not claim it. Any ailments that we feel, any pain that we feel, we do not claim it and we release it. Now, this light continues to spiral, and now it's spiraling on top of your head, and it's going faster and faster and faster. And the faster it goes, the more lighter it becomes. Now, just imagine as fast as it's going, it shoots up at the top of your head into the universe, towards our ancestors, towards our spirit guides, and the Most High God. And we allow them to turn all of our pain and trauma and turmoil into amazing bliss, into love, into heart-centered activities. Trust that they will make everything that you manifest turn into a reality in order for you to move forward during your caregiving journey in peace, serenity, and an abundance of loving energy. As we slowly flow out of this meditation, start to wiggle your toes and move your legs side to side. Move your torso and your hips. Move your arms, your fingers, your neck, your head. And you may open up your eyes when you are ready.
And on that note, that was such a beautiful meditation. Ashe. Thank you
Shame.
so much, Tamika, for joining us. If you have last words just to thank our guests, please feel free to put them into the chat. I just want to thank you for your love and your light, bringing your fullness, sharing your mom with us on this call. Thank you, Mommy, for birthing such an amazing gift to the world. We pray for your restoration and continued healing through this process. We pray for Tamika's strength that
Mm.
she not only gives to you, but gives to the world so lovingly. And I thank everyone again on this call, wherever you are in this journey. Just know that this is a space created for you. This was an appointed time. God knew who you were, what you needed to hear in this call. And I ask that you allow it to deposit into your spirit so that you can feel the healing as well. We hope to see you the next time. I will let you know the date because it is summer and I know folks are going away and things like that, but there are some of us who will still be around. You will get an email within 24 to 48 hours. It will have information in regards to how you can contact Tamika and her handles and all of that information, and just follow up things for me in terms of resources.